Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about the latest diesel release from MTH in HO scale. This is the MTH Dash-9 diesel engine. It's got Proto Sound 3. That's a DC, DCC, DCS diesel locomotive. That means it can operate on all three of those. Now DCS is MTH's proprietary system and it allows for some extra features. We won't really go into DCS. We'll be operating this in DCC today, but overall MSRP $299.95. As most of you guys have known, who's been in the hobby for a few years, the MSRP is not what it usually goes for. You can find it online and in your local hobby shops for a discounted price usually. It'll bring that $299.95 down to more in the low to mid twos. That's all I'll go into in terms of specifics. But overall, let's get this puppy unboxed and see what MTH has brought in their latest diesel locomotive, the Dash-9, starting right now. Off with the lid. There we go. Got a few documents here. The manual goes over operation functions, addressing, troubleshooting, etc. Pretty detailed manual at almost 40 pages, 39 pages. And the other thing is a little DCS kind of ad banner thing. Actually, it's almost like a poster, really. It's pretty large. Talks about DCS, and DCS is really cool. And if you want to learn more about DCS, I've got videos on that in particular. But today we've got to talk about this Dash-9 locomotive, and that's what we want to stick to without going on to any tangents. So we got, let's see, a couple things coming out of the container here. Got a bag of parts here. That has KD couplers in it, in case you don't like the Proto Max couplers, which I hear mixed opinions about online. Some people love them because they have large layouts and they can't get to areas and they can just uncouple remotely with their DCC controller or DCS controller, but other people don't because they're a little larger than scale. What you have there is the snowplow. Now, a little bit of controversy with the snowplow. I'd read online that snowplows were missing on the, I believe only the DC versions, I'm not sure, but from what I'm seeing now, people are starting to receive them. MTH Parts is doing what they're supposed to and getting those to people who need them. Remove the foam here. Caught on the metal handrails. Handrails nice and durable as usual. What we always see from MTH in those terms. Just removing some foam here off screen. Lots of foam to remove. We've got it all the way around the locomotive. So there we have that. So first time out of the box is this locomotive here. I don't have track power on yet, so I can set this on the track. And we'll take a closer look at the locomotive down at track level. Let's go ahead and look at some details on the locomotive. Now we're going to start down below where you'll see the snowplow. I did have problems on previous snowplows on earlier diesel locomotives from MTH where it was very difficult to route the MU hoses through the snowplow, and then I just give up and just push the snowplow on and it would easily fall off because it's got 4 contact points that don't seat very deeply into the body. But I have noticed on recent runs, including the ES44AC from MTH, that they've fixed this. They've angled out the MU hoses. MU hoses have more detail, and the snowplow goes on in a couple of seconds, which is what I did during the break. I put the snowplow on, seated firmly. It seems like it's going to stay in place. It's got a coupler cut lever here. It has the MTH coupler there. Now this is a remotely operated coupler. Some people say it's too large, so they don't like it. Like I said, some people like it because they can operate the couplers and release consists or cars in yard service or on the other side or remote areas of the layout, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. But overall, it's a pretty nice thing that MTH has done. and they kind of revolutionized the ability to remotely operate couplers. I hadn't seen it on any other manufacturer from when I first got in the hobby in 2009 or since. You've got separately applied grab irons, sand filler hatches, separately applied windshield wipers and grab irons above the windshields, satellite dome, another grab iron, an icicle antenna. You've got sunshades here. I do notice, and it's kind of hard to pick up, a noticeable window tint, and that's one thing that I've been kind of hinting at with manufacturers that I wish they would have done more often, is for window tints that need to be done on the proper prototypes or locomotives that actually have window tint. They should put window tint, and they've got window tint. It's not so dark that it's blacked out. You can still see cab installed figures, which are also included on this locomotive. You've got the stairs going up to the deck here, which has safety tread. One stair seems just slightly bent up, but nothing of major concern there. Metal handrails, dynamic brake area back here. UP flag is nicely done. Compartments all easy to see, separate from the mold. Nice depth to the compartments. Safety tread going alongside there. Fuel tank has a sight glass so you can see that. Fuel tank mounted bell, and you have a lot of truck detail. I'm going to go ahead and move the view down to the side so you can see this a little better as I continue explanation. So truck detail there. Fuel tank detail, more truck detail there. Handrail detail. Stanchions are all good and straight. They do move them left and right, or used to be able to. Looks like, yeah, you still can. So they have the ability to be crooked if they get out of place, but these are all straight out of the box. I was able to straighten them out, no problems. Got the rear handrails and stairs again, all of the same on the front. MU hoses, the remotely operated couplers, etc. As I swing this around, you can see the rear operated lights, headlights and taillights, LEDs. You've got separately applied grabs with access to the roof, sand filler hatch, that vertical grab on the right hand side, chain detail, safety chain detail in between the stanchions on the back. And now we flip around to the other side here. More of the same detail. MTH has also stepped up how accurate they've have made their models to the prototypes, the actual locomotives. They've done greater justice to themselves and to the modelers by being able to bring the sizes down to accurate sizes. You've got horn detail, exhaust. Back here in the radiator fan grill area, you've also got another separately applied grab, safety tread along the top for crews that need to access the roof. Same metal handrails without any stanchion problems. 9807's nice on the side. Warning labels, compartments, GE label here, and the UP shield on the front. And what I would say is accurate colors: the blue, white, red, and the UP yellow. UP yellow is hard to get because there's so many variations. I was actually talking to some painting folks in the hobby about the variations of UP yellow and how sometimes it's slightly green and sometimes it's armor yellow and all this stuff, depending on era and which shop it was painted at, etc. But overall, the aesthetics is really nice. I like the fact that they tinted the cab windows. They've got windshield wipers on the rear cab window here as well, and they have lift rings on both sides. So overall, I'm liking the aesthetics, the appearances of this locomotive. Let's actually get into operation. For those of you who don't know, DCC is usually on address 3, factory default. MTH locomotives require you to hit F3 in order to trigger the startup sequence and allow you to move the locomotive. So let's go ahead and hit F3 right now. trigger the light. So that was the startup sequence. If you briefly noticed, move it back a bit here. One speed step, you see the lights brighten. That's Rule 17 lighting. You've got lit number boards under the anti-climber up front, or above the anti-climber up front, and ditch lights under the anti-climber up front. Let's see with hitting F1, listen to the bell. F2, horn. MTH, the ditch lights flash when you sound the horn. On Union Pacific versions and some other road names, that's not accurate. Sometimes it is if the engine was rebuilt, but I have not found an option to actually turn the flashing ditch lights off and allow it for just a steady. I know some people rewire things to do that, but overall, something that is not a big deal in the scheme of things. It's just whether or not you want the flashing ditch lights. So those were a couple of the sounds. Let's listen to some other sounds. So hitting F7 will do the front coupler, and it actually engages that when it's proto. F8 does rear. F11 does grade crossing sequence. There's a little echo there with pretty nice horn in my opinion. We have F17 and F18 which do extended startup and shutdown we won't cover due to time. However, I'll give you the forward signal, which is F9, which is a horn blast. Reverse signal F10. So that's correct for railroad rules.
UP detector, milepost 14.1, track 1, no defect. Total axle 238, train speed 52, MTH, detector out.
So that's like a defect detector sound. So those are some sounds of the locomotive. There's up to 28 functions. So lots of different sounds to choose from. And those are just a few. Let's go ahead and check out the actual sound of the drive. I'm going to go ahead and mute this. Bring it way down anyway. We're going to actually move this thing at 1 speed step on DCC. See how smooth the drive is. I'm going to start back here a bit, and we'll work our way up to 5. Slow speed is what I'm concerned about in terms of operation, so there's 1. Right now I'm seeing just a slight lurch. 2. Seems mostly smoothed out by now. 3. As you can see for yourself, I believe all of any sort of jerkiness is out at this point. 4. And 5. So then we'll check reverse at 1. Now I've got the sounds very low so I could hear the drive if it was noticeable, and I'm not noticing any sound whatsoever from the drive right now. So the drive itself is very smooth and quiet. Slight lurching at 1. 2, again smoothed out. 3. 4. And 5. So very, very quiet drive, pretty smooth. Is it perfect? No, I don't know if I've ran across many locomotives that have a perfect drive. It's super smooth, but this one is pretty close. Very, very subtle jerks. I mean, tiny little micro jerks, if that's such a word. But anyway, it's not really noticeable unless you're really, really just kind of looking for any little shift in the body's movement. All right, well that does it on the MTH Dash-9. I think they did a pretty good job. From what I understand, this road number does have the flag scheme. They have Union Pacific emblazoned on the side without the flag as some road numbers, and they also have other variations as well, including BNSF and Norfolk Southern. So it is what it is. It's a great locomotive in my opinion. I think they've done it pretty well. Sounds good. The only nitpick, I'm kind of thinking about introducing a segment called Nitpicking Nate, which gives you guys that say I don't say much negative about a locomotive, a little piece to nitpick about is if I had to pick up something would be those flashing ditch lights without an option to stop them from flashing. There's an option to turn them off and only go with the nose headlight, but to have the horn blasting with the ditch lights steady, I don't see an option for yet with these MTH locomotives. That's the only nitpick I can find on this. Other than that, I think they did a great job. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on my channel. Take care.